everybody, and welcome back to the Sports Weekly podcast. I'm your host, Katie Schaefer, and I will let my co-host introduce himself.
I'm Ford Griffith, the assistant sports editor.
So this is the first podcast for the 2025 school year, 2026. Today is currently Wednesday, but we had a lot of sports kind of already start, and we have a lot of fall sports that will be continuing throughout the fall that we're excited for. To start, though, we had the season opener for college football. We had Iowa State play Kansas State in Dublin, Ireland for the 2025 Aer Lingus Classic. The score was 24-21. We did pretty good against Kansas State for them being favored. But, yeah, Ford, anything?
Yeah, I mean, it was a very interesting, very fun game to start the season with. I mean, obviously the Cyclones winning was a bonus, just being an Iowa State student, but there were a lot of, I guess, takeaways and players that kind of stood out or played well, didn't play as well as we thought. I think Rocco Becht, obviously, QB1, good player to start with. His stats don't look great on paper. 14 for 28, throwing 183 yards, did throw 2 big touchdowns, but that fourth quarter, he came up huge.
Yes, he can be a little unreliable at some points. We've known that from the past. He completed 50% of his passes during this game. But when it really comes down to those big moments, he can really tune in and really show out, which I think is something that a lot of us can rely on most of the time.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that, I won't play into the weather too much because obviously, it's hard to throw in the rain. It's hard to do a lot of things in the rain, but that's just something you kind of have to deal with.
Yes.
But the 2 touchdown passes, those were both great passes. There was a 3rd and 1 pass to Gabe Burkle for 17 yards in the fourth quarter, and then there's the 4th and 3 pass to Carson Hansen, also late in the fourth quarter. That was the one that basically sealed the game. And so he's really stepping up when it matters, and it's just good to see that he's doing that in the big moments.
Yeah, absolutely. And back to Carson Hansen, he had a great game. It was definitely a little rough in the first quarter with a multitude of players. Like, they had 2 fumbles already pretty quickly on. But I thought they played a lot in the running game, which was interesting. Usually, I guess in the past with Jalen and Jaden, they relied a lot on their passing game, but this was pretty solid. But to the wet conditions, Rocco said that due to, it was hard to grip the ball, so later on they kind of developed that it was easier for him to do short passes, short and easy, kind of make his way down the field, which I think helped a lot. Carson Hansen, I think, really kind of got it moving. He was very reliable, I think, in the first quarter, moved very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, we saw it last year also with Carson and Abu, where it's kind of like a running back committee where they both take a lot of the carries. And Carson, he had a few nice plays early on and then kind of slowed down a little bit, struggled a little bit. And so Abu went in, played a really good middle portion of the game, and then Carson went in and finished it off in the fourth quarter. So that was really good to see. I guess we could go to the defensive side of things. Marcus Neal Jr., he played a heck of a game. It seemed like first half at least, he was just part of every single play. He finished with 8 tackles, and he was just all over the place.
Yeah, I would have to say, kind of coming into this game, I was definitely a little nervous about our defensive side. We lost a couple good players like J.R. Singleton and a couple other, but yes, Dominique Orange, though, I think, Big Citrus, is probably one of my favorite players to watch since forever, but he was just amazing in this game. He was so reliant. Yeah,
the way his size and strength, his just abilities to just stuff up the middle of the field creates so many opportunities for other players. I think, at one point he was being triple teamed by the offensive lineman. It's if you can take on 3 players at once, that means that there's 2 other players for Iowa State that are free and can go make a tackle. So his impact, although it may not show up always in the stats, is felt on the field for sure. And I think one of those plays where he was getting double or triple teamed led to a huge play. Jamison Patton got to fill the gap, lay a hit on Kansas State quarterback Avery Johnson. It was a 4th down with 8 minutes left in the game. That was a huge momentum-shifting and game-changing play.
Yes, absolutely. It really kind of kicked things into gear for the team. Like, yes, we were already kind of in the lead a little bit, but this really like sealed it. Like, nope, we can finish this strong. I also want to pay attention to Jeremiah Cooper. He changed from safety to cornerback for his senior season, and I think that's a great spot for him. I think that was one of his best games.
Yeah, I mean, watching him his sophomore year, he had, I think, 4 or 5 interceptions, including a pick 6 against Northern Iowa. And so we've known that he can play at an elite level, a really high level. And then last year, like Jeremiah said in the media availability, last year against Kansas State, he played one of his worst games, he said. And, I mean, that's not to discredit him, but putting him in this corner spot and seeing him thrive is, I think, probably a confidence booster for him. Just knowing, like, I've played these other positions and now I got moved to this one and I'm playing really well. Like, he's going to be super helpful for the team moving forward, being able to start at corner, but if they need somebody to fill in at safety, they can be comfortable putting him in that spot.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I definitely think this game was, yes, we had first quarter jitters, and that definitely impacted us a little bit, but I think it really showed how much we can bring to the table. We do have a lot of depth in our defensive roster, and like we have Mendoza and Hawk and Vontre Malone, and then backing up Tamatoa. We have a lot of experienced players who I think are really going to show us out for the season.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to see the defense and who steps up because, I mean, we've already seen some in this game. And then one last thing for the Kansas State game is the receivers. I think we have to shout out Dominic Overby and Brett Eskildson. I mean, both those guys, Brett Eskildson made his first start in the Pop-Tart Bowl last year, and in this game caught his first touchdown. Dominic Overby, same thing, first touchdown. Those are big plays to step up and be able to perform at that level in this big game for Iowa State.
Yeah, I think seeing him in the Pop-Tart Bowl and seeing him now, I think he's definitely going to be someone we can really rely on, which is going to be great for us, especially with our passing game. So, yeah, we'll see.
For sure. All right, should we move on to some other sports?
Yes. So a couple other sports we have this fall is we have soccer, which is going to be a little interesting. We had a lot of our seniors graduate, which are more experienced players. We also had some that did a lot, but we have some returners like Isabella Agruso, Ella Zimmerman, Chloe Broughton, Sophia Thomas, who all really know how to play the game, I guess I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Most of them scored a goal last year. They're very, very versatile, very speedy. They really know how to get the ball across the field. And then we have some new incoming freshmen as too, which I'm excited to see kind of how they intertwine with the rest of the team. I thought very highly of our team last year, even though we didn't win a lot of games. But I think with the experience we do have on our roster, I think we should be pretty decent for this upcoming season.
Nice. I can talk about volleyball and softball. Volleyball, there are a lot of returners that should make a splash this year. Maya Duckworth last year. She is a very explosive player, should have another really good year. Rachel Van Gorp had a very impressive freshman year last year. I think her growth is going to be fun to see because she played all over the court. That'll be very fun to see. Nayeli Gonzalez, she had 2 years ago of incredible freshman year, and then this year she'll be coming off a knee injury. So I'm curious to see how she is able to perform after healing from that. And then Morgan Brandt, a senior, she's top 10 in assists in Iowa State history. So, I mean, for her to be able to anchor it down and kind of mentor some of the younger players will be another asset for Christy Johnson-Lynch and the Cyclones. This is also their first full off-season in their new facility. And I've seen pictures, videos, and that place is very nice. And I think that's super beneficial to them to have multiple courts to practice on. And I'm excited to see what they do because last year was a bit of a down year, but I have pretty high expectations for this team. And they start their season this weekend with the tournament in Ohio, so that'll be exciting for them. And then for softball, they had arguably their two best players last year were freshmen, which is pretty unheard of. Jessie Clemens was one of the best freshman years in Iowa State history, might just be the best freshman year in Iowa State history. She led the team in batting average, doubles, RBIs, and was named an All Big 12 first teamer. It was a unanimous selection, also unheard of. And then Serenity Trice was also freshman last year, second in average on the team, and had the highest fielding percentage. She was an All Big 12 second teamer. So they got some young players with a year under their belt. That'll be fun to see them in the fall season, kind of helping them prepare for this longer, bigger spring season. But should we preview the South Dakota football game?
Yes. So this will be our first home game, which we are very excited about, obviously. Iowa State will be playing South Dakota. They have a 91.1% chance of winning, according to ESPN, but they are definitely favored for this game.
Yeah, but I think that percentage is easy to look at, but also it's easy to overlook this South Dakota team who has won 10-plus games in each of its past two seasons. And, I mean, we've heard it from Campbell and some of the players, like, we're focused on South Dakota now. This is our next game. We're going to be locked in for this. So hearing them talk about that is huge because it is easy to overlook an FCS team and be like, okay, we got this one, then we got Iowa next week, so we're going to look at Iowa. But, no, they're really focused on South Dakota, and I think it'll be a more interesting game than a lot of people think.
Yeah, I completely agree, especially having it in the Jack Trice Stadium. That'll be definitely huge. But no, I think it speaks a lot to their character and kind of the team itself that they're not just overlooking this one team and going straight to the Cy-Hawk series. Like, it's still a part of their record. It's still going to affect how they play and kind of their chemistry as a team together. Like, it's still very impactful for them. So I'm really excited to see kind of how this game turns out.
For sure. And playing quarterback for South Dakota is former Cyclone Aiden Bauman. He transferred there and I think this will be his third year as the starter at South Dakota. He's been really good, and he's a gunslinger. So I think that he's going to come in with a chip on his shoulder and be like, you guys didn't want or need me anymore, so I'm going to come into your house and beat you. But I think that'll be a fun story to watch, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's very similar to Jeremiah Cooper when he really wanted revenge on Kansas State. So we saw the outcome that Cooper brought, so we'll see what happens.
For sure. I think another thing to mention about South Dakota, their running back, Charles Pierre, had over 1,200 rushing yards last year. Really good. They have 12 seniors starting for them. They do have a new coach, which I guess in that situation could either help or hurt them, where it's like new coach, it's new situation, so we're still getting used to things. But the 12 seniors starting, they got experience. They won a lot of games last year. They have a chance to compete for the FCS national title this year. So I think it'll be a good game for the Cyclones.
I'm not going to jinx myself, but I do think the Cyclones will win. Yes, the South Dakota team has a lot of maturity, but also the Cyclones also really prioritize their team's maturity with so many seniors coming back and so much experience on our team. So I definitely think it'll be a very good game for us.
I agree. I think one thing I really like is that Rocco Becht, he is, I guess, older now. He's a veteran of the team, but the way that he talks in media and post games and everything, he talks with a maturity, poise about him, where you can tell that Campbell has them all really bought in, and they're not just gonna go say whatever they want to the media. They're going to respect them. They're going to be humble, I guess. So it's really just cool to hear that from a team of 19, 20-year-olds.
Yeah, especially with Tyler Miller being on the defensive line. He's really leading that. He has 2 kids. He's engaged or married. He has a house. He's very mature from, that standpoint. So him leading the team in some aspects is definitely huge. Like, we definitely have a very mature, well-rounded team.
Yeah. I guess, what are some keys that you think the Cyclones need to do to win this game?
I think we definitely need to get Rocco figured out. I would love to see Chase and Xavier be on the field, but, no guarantees. But I think if we rely more on our passing game than running game than last time, this would definitely be a good game for us.
If the weather persists, I think the Cyclones will air it out quite a bit. I think, we didn't see it. Neither Xavier Townsend or Chase Sowell had a catch, which was a little bit surprising. They were 2 big-name transfers, but I think it's also they haven't been in the program. They're still getting used to it. So I think that they'll get more reps, get in the rotation more, and be a big, important target for Rocco Becht. But I also think that limiting the mistakes will be huge. I think, obviously, the 2 fumbles against Kansas State, that was kind of because of the rain, we said, but also you got to protect the football. So we can't have that happen. And Rocco Becht took 4 sacks, which it's a little bit on him, but also on the offensive line. So protecting the football, protecting the quarterback, I think will be huge. Otherwise, South Dakota might capitalize on it more than Kansas State did.
Yeah. I also think we need to be a little bit more prepared. We're relying a lot on our 4th downs, which that helped us a lot. And yes, that makes for a great game and, keeps viewers on their seat. But in the reality of things, if things go bad, you're screwed. And I think that's what happened in the Big 12 game last year. So it's interesting to see how Campbell is going all forward in the 4th downs. So I'm interested to see how it'll play out in the next game.
Yeah, I actually had that written down as well, where we need to the Cyclones need to execute on short yardage situations, both offensively and defensively. But I also think if they can get some chunk plays and not have to get to 3rd down or 4th down, that'll be better for them. But defensively, I think when South Dakota gets to a 3rd down or 4th down, getting those big stops will be huge, just to hold them and kind of flip the field and change the momentum a lot. But I feel like that's mostly what I have. Iowa State is 9-0 against South Dakota in history, so hopefully that gets to 10.
Yeah, and we're starting off on the right foot already with the win against Kansas State, so I'm excited to see how it turns out. All right, well, thank you all again for tuning in. We will see you next week after the game and with some more fall sport updates. But until then, please subscribe, like, and comment, share. Thank you again for watching.
Deuces.